Hello and welcome to Daily Prelims Practice. Here we will take up MCQs based on important news and article from The Hindu and Indian Express newspaper. Topics for today's discussion are displayed on your screen. Let's begin the discussion. So the first question of today's discussion is based on this news which featured on page number 4 of The Hindu newspaper. Now, accepting the Haryana Backward Classes Commission's report on the proportion of reservation for backward classes in municipalities across the state, Haryana government announced reservation for backward classes in urban local bodies. Now, UPSC has been asking question based on 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, which relates to the Panchayati Raj institution as well as urban local bodies. As you can see here in 2016, it has asked a question based on features of Panchayati Raj institution in India. So let's take up today's practice MCQ. Question says, with reference to the municipalities, consider the following statements. You have to identify the correct among them. Statement 1 says, Constitution authorizes legislature of a state for making provision for reservation in favor of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Now this statement is incorrect. Why? Because as per Article 243T, subclause 6, Constitution authorizes legislature of a state for making any provision for reservation of seat in any municipality or offices of chairperson in the municipalities in favor of backward class of citizen. However, under subclause 1 to subclause 5, it clearly defines the reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. And it has not authorized the state government to formulate the rules for the same. Now, second statement says duration of municipality varies across the country as Constitution has authorized state legislatures to decide upon the duration and term of the municipalities. Now, this statement is again incorrect. As when you will refer Article 243U, it clearly says every municipality unless sooner dissolved under any law for time being in force shall continue for 5 years. So Constitution clearly defines the tenure of a municipality, while our statement says that it has left it to the state legislature to decide upon this question. So as you had to find the correct statements, our answer would be D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Answer for this PYQ is B, that is 2 only. Our next question is based on this news which featured on page number 5 of The Hindu newspaper. Now, a prominent Lingayat strongman B.S. Yedurappa has claimed that Veerashavya Lingayat community will not back Congress and its support to BJP is intact. Now, UPSC has been asking questions based on important religious philosophies from ancient and medieval India. As in 2013, it has asked a question based on Jain doctrine. So let's take up today's practice MCQ. Question says, with reference to the Indian history, consider the following statement. You have to identify the correct one. Statement 1 says, the Sharna movement which started Veer Shaivism was based on the teachings of Alvars. Now this statement is incorrect, as the Sharna movement which started in the 11th century is regarded as the start of Veer Shaivism. It started in time when Kalmukh Shaivism, which was supported by the ruling classes, was dominant and in control of the monasteries. The Sharna movement was inspired by the Nayanars, who were a group of 63 Tamil Hindu saints living during the 6th to 8th century CE. And they were devoted to the Hindu god Shiva. And the Sharna movement emphasized personal religious experience over text-based dogmatism. Now the second statement says Siddhant Shikhamani is a Sanskrit text that elaborates on history of Veer Shaivism. Now this statement is correct, because as a central text in this tradition, Siddhant Shikhamani, which was written in Sanskrit, gives an elaboration of the primitive traits of Veer Shaivism in the Vedas and the Upanishads. While Veer Shaivas regard the Siddhant Shikhamani to predate Basava, it may actually have been composed in the 13th or 14th century post-dating Basava. So as you had to find the correct statement, our answer would be B, that is 2 only. Answer for this PYQ MCQ is D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Our next question is based on this news article which featured on page number 6 of The Hindu newspaper. According to the author of article, there is much significance to India having hosted a 2-day global summit in New Delhi between April 20 and 21. It was organized by Ministry of Culture in collaboration with the International Buddhist Confederation. The summit saw the participation of key figures from the global Buddhist community, including Dalai Lama. Now, this article argues that Buddhism can be India's soft power projection tool. Now, theme of Buddhism and Jainism have been important from the perspective of UPSC Prelims examination. As in 2019, it has asked a question based on Buddhism and its feature. So let's take up today's practice MCQ. You have been provided sites related to Buddhism and you have to match the correct pair regarding what these sites hold significance for. So the first option is Sankasya. Now the current location of Sankasya is Farrukhabad, district of Uttar Pradesh. It has some faiths of Buddhism that Buddha after his death descended from heaven here. After the Gautam Buddha Mahaparinirvana, that is passing away, King Ashoka developed this place and installed one of his famous pillars in the city, from which the elephant capital survives. He also built a stupa and temple commemorating the visit of Buddha. While compilation of Abhidharma Pitaka was compiled in 3rd Buddhist Council, which was held in Patliputra. So this pair is not correctly matched. Second option is Kundalvana. Now Kundalvana is in Kashmir. The 4th Buddhist Council, which happened in 98 AD, was held under the chairmanship of Vasumitra. The patron to the council was Kanishk of the Kushana dynasty. It was significance for the compilation of Mahavibha Shastra, that is Sanskrit comment on Tripitaka, and it is also significant for division of Buddhism into Hinayana and Mahayana. So now you know that second pair is also not correctly matched, as well as third pair is also not correctly matched, because Kapilvastu was an ancient city in the north of Indian subcontinent which was the capital of the Shakyas. King Shuddhodhana and Maya are believed to have lived in Kapilvastu, as did their son Prince Siddharth Gautam, who became famous as Gautam Buddha. So as you had to find how many pairs are correctly matched and none of the pair are correctly matched, your answer would be D, that is none of the pair. Answer for this PYQ is D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Our next question is based on this news article which featured on page number 8 of The Hindu newspaper. News talks about various aspects of the lack of drug recall law in India. It also discusses various questions like what happens when substandard drugs are indiscriminately distributed in the market. Have there been discussion on implementing a drug recall law in the country? And why are pharmaceutical companies resisting a centralized drug recall authority? Now, regulatory authorities have been one of the important themes from the perspective of UPSC Prelims examination. As in 2018, UPSC has asked a question based on Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 and FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. So let's take up today's practice MCQ. It says, with reference to the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, that is CDSCO, consider the following statements. You have to identify the correct ones. Statement 1 says, CDSCO lays down the standards for drugs and controls the quality of imported drugs in the country. Now this statement is correct. As CDSCO, the National Regulatory Authority of India, it functions under the Director General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Under the Drugs and Cosmetic Acts of 1940, CDSCO is responsible for the approval of drugs, conduct of clinical trials, laying down the standard for drugs and control of the quality of imported drugs in the country. Now, second statement says the CDSCO is responsible for the implementation of national law for the recall of substandard drugs in the country. Now, from the news itself, you know that there is no such law at present in the country. However, India has been mulling the creation of a mandatory recall law for substandard drugs that have failed to meet quality parameters since 1976. And yet, no law exists that mandates such medicines be removed from the market till date. So this statement is incorrect. As you had to find the correct statement, our answer would be A, that is 1 only. Answer for this PYQ is A, that is 1 only. Our next question is based on this news which featured on page number 17 of the Indian Express newspaper. Now in the 27th meeting of the Financial Stability and Development Council, which was held recently, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that regulators should maintain a constant vigil as ensuring financial sector stability is their shared responsibility. Now previously UPSC in 2016 has asked a question specifically based on Financial Stability and Development Council. So we have curated a practice MCQ on the similar line. Question says, consider the following statements regarding Financial Stability and Development Council, that is FSDC. You have to identify the correct statement. Statement 1 says, Governor of the RBI is ex officio chairman of the FSDC. Now this statement is incorrect. Because if you will look into the composition of FSDC, the Union Finance Minister acts as an ex officio chairperson of FSDC, and Governor of Reserve Bank of India is its member along with the following dignitaries. Now second statement says the council meets once every 6 months. Now this statement is again incorrect because there is no such mandatory or conventional procedure. The council would meet as and when deemed necessary by the chairperson, that is the finance minister. Now third statement says the council is responsible for coordinating India's international interface with Financial Action Task Force. Now this statement is correct because among the various responsibilities that has been entrusted to this council, coordination of India's international interface with financial sector bodies like the Financial Action Task Force, that is FETF, Financial Stability Board, that is FSB, and any such body may be decided by the finance minister from time to time. So as you had to find the correct statements, our answer would be C, that is 3 only. Answer for this PYQ is C, that is 2 and 3 only. Now the last question of today's discussion is based on this news article which featured on page number 12 of the Indian Express newspaper. Now according to this article, the meeting between India's National Security Advisor Mr. Ajit Doval with his US, Saudi Arabia and UAE counterparts is significant for 2 reasons. Firstly, it marks a deepening of India's outreach towards West Asia. Secondly, the meeting signals a broader integrated approach to India's West, similar perhaps to the Indo-Pacific, along with the US and regional partners. Now various international groupings are pretty much important from the perspective of UPSC Prelims examination. As in 2020, UPSC has asked a question based on which of the following group of countries are member of G20. So we have taken up a question based on Quad and I2U2. Question says, which of the following countries are common members of Quad and I2U2? Now, as you know, I2U2 is also known as Middle Eastern Quad. So, to understand what are the different countries who are participants in Quad and I2U2, let us look at this map. Now, first map represents the membership of Quad, which includes United States of America, India, Australia, and Japan. While second map represents the membership of I2U2, which again includes United States of America, Israel, UAE and India. So now you know that among the given options, USA and India are common members of both Quad and I2U2. So our answer would be A, that is 1 and 2 only. Answer for this PYQ is A, that is Argentina, Mexico, South Africa and Turkey.